So one thing I'd like to do before we get started, again, is to thank you all for being here for our Startup Pitch Showcase associated with the CMU Energy and Cleantech Investor Forum. Between 1:30 and 2:30, we'll be having closed round-robin meetings, and I went through how that comes together with all of you that are investors. You do have a form that you should be filling out. If you are an investor, we are looking for feedback on the companies. It's a very simple form. We want to make sure that you fill it out. I also want to give a special thank you to Jeanette Armstrong, who is in the back. She's the Deputy Director of ARPA-E, and she's joined us just for this morning's session. She has a very short amount of time in town, and she is a very proud CMU alumna. So thank you very much, Jeanette, for being here. We really appreciate it. ARPA-E is obviously a very important program for our startup community, so we thank you for your enthusiasm for the work that we're doing here in Pittsburgh and at CMU. And without further ado, let's start the clock as soon as Azizan hits the podium.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Azizan Aziz, and I'm the CEO of Building Ideas Group, or BIG. Let me introduce you to Jane Smith. Jane Smith is the CEO of a multinational company. Her corporation owns and operates more than 700 buildings worldwide, and 90% of them are located in various states in the U.S. Their portfolio buildings include offices, small retail, data centers, and tons of other different building types. Now, as a large building portfolio owner, she never knows how her building is performing, how much energy are they using, are her employees comfortable, and are the buildings good neighbors in the communities that they are located. Her challenges are really typical for similar to other large portfolio owners and building managers such as the GSA, CMU, PNC, City of Pittsburgh, etc. In addition, how does she know that her decisions lead to positive outcomes? Lower energy consumption, better experience for the building occupants, increased occupant comfort level, satisfaction, performance. There's no way. This is where BIG comes in. BIG provides a software, with our build-fit software platform. It's an AI-based platform generating monthly, weekly, daily recommendations, balancing buildings, operating and investment goals and constraints, specifically for the C-suite team and the facilities team, performance goals and constraints, making sure that the occupants are comfortable, and finally, sustainability goals and constraints. And the way that we do it, we leverage pre-existing data sources already embedded in the building systems to support energy reduction, operational efficiency, and improve indoor environmental quality and occupant satisfaction. So for the last 8 years, with more than $3 million worth of funding at CMU, we've been able to create a platform to pull all this data and aggregate it together from various sources. We develop algorithms and generate recommendations and actionable insights for building owners, facility managers, and building occupants towards energy conservation, and at the same time ensure occupant comfort and performance. This ongoing research, we still have funding, has enabled us to develop and refine the data analytics platform and conduct large-scale demonstration at the City of Pittsburgh, CMU, DOD, to validate the AI-generated recommendations and insights. Now, this is our ecosystem currently. We're partnering with New World Energy Group. It's an energy broker with 20 large existing portfolios. Customers, Luminex, Life Building System, Boss Controls, and OSI Soft. Our partnership enabled us to quickly scale and strategically market our range of products by leveraging existing customers and contacts and provide turnkey solutions to potential customers. Now, this is our market. It's 5.6 million buildings with $220 billion worth of revenue. Capturing just 3% of the total market is equivalent to $600 million worth of annual revenue. We're seeking to raise $1.5 million to launch the company. The funds will be used to create a commercial configuration of the data analytics platform that has already been developed and demonstrated at CMU. So we've done all the hard work, and it's free. Thank you, everybody, taxpayers. It will also enable us to scale up our marketing through our current channel partners and further expand our strategic partner ecosystems. Thank you for your time. I look forward to talking with you one-on-one.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Barriolos. I'm the CEO of Connext. I'm presenting today because my client Rob Weber, CEO of Agile Switch, had a prior conflict. Agile Switch makes digital programmable gate drivers, which are a critical enabling technology as the power electronics industry shifts from silicon-based power switches to silicon carbide. Rob and Albert are serial entrepreneurs with a history of successful exits. The most recent IC exit was $100 million. A fun fact is Albert was the inventor of the Commodore 64 computer, which still has a record of the most units sold of any computer ever. Power electronics use is rapidly expanding across multiple industries. We have clients in each of these areas. With that said, though, electric vehicles are the real killer app. That's where the volumes are going to be over the next 10 years. Each EV typically has between 8 and 15 ICs per vehicle. Current prices are around $5 each. And Agile Switch gate drivers allow cars to drive faster, or vehicles to drive faster, charge faster, or reduce lithium battery size, which is a key supply chain constraint. These are production announcements from several electric vehicle manufacturers. Actual numbers will obviously be far higher than this. And as I mentioned, the market's shifting from silicon switches to silicon carbide, and which is significantly faster and more efficient. And one thing to keep in mind is every switch needs a gate driver to control the transfer of energy. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. So all other gate drivers lack key factors that are critical for success, or for silicon carbide to be optimally successful. Analog controls are all right for silicon switches, but for silicon carbide, analog is irresponsible and necessarily dangerous because of the speed of silicon carbide. One of our clients shared the magic about Agile Switch is it tames the silicon carbide beast and allows you to unlock the full capability of this new material. So Agile Switch, we introduced the first digital programmable gate driver for SiC, and our patented approach precisely turns the SiC switch on and off in a stepped function, which gives better control of false faults, short circuits, ringing, EMI, current and voltage overshoots and undershoots. And also we have a key patent that protects around short circuits, which is a bigger risk because of the speed of silicon carbide. So we save clients millions of dollars in development time and also can speed time to market by up to 6 months. All you have to do is plug in to your PC and you're able to make developments. So our sensors measure the exact conditions of the switch real time to optimize performance real time. So you can bring a car in for a tune-up, you can do a software update over the air, or our patent also covers self-healing. And this is in contrast to analog gate drivers that are designed with the switch for what the conditions will be, degraded conditions will be year 5 or year 7. We completely shipped to silicon carbide in 2016. Clients are currently in production on our boards and cores, and this funding will allow us to create the next generation of switches, which we need for automotive, but also reduce a lot of cost and further protect our patents. So last year, Tesla put silicon carbide in the Model 3, since all the EV manufacturers are accelerating evaluation of this, and which was a time-consuming process before. And with our technology, we now have 14 of 14 EV manufacturers we've approached are now using our evaluation kits to accelerate their development. And it's a great way for us to eventually get into production and have a great relationship with their engineers. Obviously, I have a strong leadership team with extensive industry experience. We're backed by veteran investors, including Ben Franklin. Ask us for $5 million. And I'll leave you with this. This is a few of the exits in the space that recently occurred. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Clint Nowak. I'm one of the co-founders of Anactisis. We are a chemical technology and process development company focused on solving some of the most challenging waste management problems in heavy industry here in the US and abroad. And specifically, we're focused on two really big problems of raw material availability. The concrete and construction industry demands coal combustion fly ash, the fine particulate matter left over when you burn coal, as a high-strength additive, but there's a 15 to 17 million ton per year shortfall of that material because of a difference between where the coal is burned and where the construction demand is. But also, as we increase pollution control, we create ash that is no longer suitable for that application. This translates to about a $500 million annual shortfall here in the US alone that firms are considering importing coal waste from across the Atlantic to solve. On the downstream end, we recover from waste materials high-value metals. The first of our targets is a metal called scandium, which has excellent alloying properties with aluminum and can be used in some of the most efficient and cheap solid oxide fuel cell technologies in the world. In particular with aluminum, lightweighting, corrosion resistance, and weldability properties make it an excellent platform for aerospace OEMs to solve throughput issues, allowing them to increase their output of planes that are already on multiple year back orders. This translates to about $1 billion annual increase from just that throughput increase alone, not to mention life cycle benefits on fuel savings and replacement costs for a large OEM like Airbus or Boeing. And so how are we going to do that? We're going to link these two problems. We've developed a proprietary patented technology that allows us to beneficiate fly ash, to take out carbon and air pollution control residuals, as well as metals, and in particular these high-value metals. And we're going to link two value chains that have never before seen one another. And in doing that, we can increase the quality of the ash that can then reach more distant markets, and we can disrupt a conventional supply chain that's been inefficient and costly in producing that scandium and has primarily come out of China and the Soviet Union. So what is the opportunity for scandium as a real revenue driver for this process? There are commercially available alloys and material platforms that incorporate it but just need more supply. And if you look at what that supply could be across mature markets where these applications exist, civilian aviation, military aviation, fuel cells and sporting equipment, you're talking about a 2,800 ton per year market. There's enough scandium recoverable by our process here in the Appalachian region alone from fly ashes to satisfy about a third to half of that. And that translates to a $1.5 to $2 billion annual market for scandium out of those ashes alone. And our team is two CMU folks, myself and my co-founder Anactisis. We are technologists, we are experts in the chemistry and in the pain points of the industries that we're serving, but we're also first-time entrepreneurs. So we're very fortunate to be supported by excellent folks here from CMU and abroad. Dave Mawini, Craig Markovitz are out of CMU Schwartz. They're excellent startup folks, and we've recently added Richard Hayes to our team as an advisor with exceptional expertise in heavy industry and strategic relationships. And it's on that last point that I'd like to close. Over the next year, we're going to be demonstrating our technology in pilot with some utility partners to beneficiate their ash and bring it to market and qualify the metals for sales. And so we're seeking some investment to expedite those commercial activities and develop stronger relationships. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Greg Pushnig, founder and CEO of Boss Controls. So Boss Controls is a fully integrated system of hardware, software, and services. The biggest problem is IoT devices there's no standard or security for connecting to the nation's infrastructure. Last year, the nation's infrastructure electrical grid was hacked several times by foreign states. It's a major challenge and a major problem. On top of that, demand inside the building is not optimized, and we're working on solving this problem. So like all new technologies, it's not just about the technology, but more so it's about the business model. In our case, we have a very unique business model that's disruptive, combining the industries that are colliding together in the sort of IT, IoT space with energy. We bring a full turnkey solution. Our business model is disruptive that really brings all this together. Most importantly, we do it with no out-of-pocket cost. So these devices can be installed where there's energy savings that pays for it, and then other incremental multiple recurring revenue stream models from data services and other aspects that will provide additional recurring revenues over time. The solution in the architecture is rather straightforward and simple. The challenge is how do you cost effectively integrate this and allow it to be turnkey and plug and play and have a secure solution from chip to cloud. And the way we do that is, not only we bring a software platform that controls everything, we connect the devices to the grid, we also provide, our own dedicated IoT solution, working with industry leaders on the security front and being able to provide a turnkey solution that's truly plug and play. The BOSS Atmosphere software, our software platform is connected to the electrical grid in the wholesale markets. So we're able to be able to provide, predict what the peak demand days are for the building owners, reduce that, peak demand charge, as well as provide demand response load shedding capabilities down to each device. And we're able to provide curtailment services to the utility grid, allowing the utility grid and the utilities themselves move from a sort of a monopoly business model, which is, I think we all know is dead, to a transactive business model, and we help facilitate that. Here's some of the more details of what the software capable is doing. That's how we provide the energy savings capability. And then on the technology side, we provide embedded modules and reference designs in the software platform. So we don't intend to do it all ourselves. We have partners that we're licensing out the technology in order to be able to scale quickly and really be the, do what we do well, which is the core technology. Security is a big deal, as I said in the first slide, being able to resolve that problem. We've been working with the both the Senate Armed Service Committee, DOD, Cyber Command, as well as Office Secretary of Defense. They're establishing basically standards around this space that we're using, and those standards is what we're helping them to implement based around our technology. We have multiple strategic partners, both on the telecom side. Sorry. All right. And then lastly, we do project revenues for this year, mostly from the DoD. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Kala Majetti, and I'm the president and co-founder of BREK Electronics Corporation based in Colorado, where we are building the world's first 250 kilowatt compact silicon carbide solar string inverter that will revolutionize the design of grid-tied solar power plants. Inverters are devices that convert DC electricity into AC electricity that's fed into the grid. We know that the global solar industry is growing rapidly, exceeding over 100 gigawatts of new installations annually. Most of this growth is occurring in large-scale commercial and utility installations. This $2.5 billion industry requires new, higher power string inverters. Traditionally, central inverters have been used for such installations. They can handle a tremendous amount of power, but are big, heavy, and expensive to install, requiring a crane, a concrete pad, skid, and skilled labor. They also make failure events difficult and expensive to troubleshoot and resolve, driving up the operating costs. An alternative that is growing in popularity is to use multiple smaller string inverters instead. They are small, lightweight, and can be installed without skilled labor or heavy machinery. In comparison, they're easier to repair and swap out, but they are limited in their power to about 125 kilowatts due to the limits of today's silicon-based technology. So, for large, multi-megawatt installations, the sheer number of string inverters becomes cumbersome and expensive. BREK's solution is to redesign a much higher capacity string inverter from the ground up, based on our novel and patented composite architecture. This is not just a brute force substitution of silicon carbide chips, mind you, but a complete redesign of the planar magnetics and circuitry to optimize the material properties of silicon carbide. Using this approach, we were able to reduce the size and weight by 1/4, while doubling the power and achieving higher efficiencies, close to 99%. We also doubled the inverter life to over 15 years. We have conducted over 15 interviews with top solar installers through the NSF Customer Discovery Program. We understand the requirements for an inexpensive, high-power, easy-to-install system with low maintenance costs. We are partnering with First Solar to develop our product that has over 40% lower CapEx and OpEx costs. The inverter market space, BREK's proposed three-phase 250 kilowatt string inverter is in an untapped market. That's because our competitors are not able to penetrate. It's not possible to build a system of this capacity that's amenable to a manual two-person lift using traditional design methods and materials. With the cost of silicon products dropping exponentially due to increasing demand, our projected cost per watt will be on par with other Chinese and global manufacturers on the market using conventional designs. We plan to launch our product in 2021. BREK has made a lot of progress to date, winning the State of Colorado matching grant, and we were selected as semifinalists in NREL's American-Made Solar Prize. Our intellectual property is protected by 4 key patents from the University of Colorado Boulder, for which we have exclusive licensing options, and we're in the process of filing 4 more patents. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Hi, I'm Vince Leesman, CEO of Columbia Power Technologies. Thanks to everyone involved for the opportunity to present to you today. So, what do? Well, Columbia Power, we turn ocean waves into electricity. And why is this important? Well, we solve a number of problems, but first and foremost, and as everyone knows, we're in a global transition to a clean energy mix. We're going to fail in that transition if we don't start adding resources to the portfolio that are like the ones that we're replacing. So at Columbia, excuse me, we provide wave energy into electricity, and what this allows us to do is create an energy resource that's close to the load, that's always on, and that could be a material contributor. Sorry about the icon, got messed up there. So wave energy can do all of these things. In fact, the ocean is the biggest battery that we have on Earth. It can supply more than 2x of global demand. We just have to turn it on. But that's exactly what we know how to do, and we're the best at doing. We are ranked a world leader in an Irish government study. We've won more federal R&D grants than anyone else in the wave power industry. We have 35 patents. We've modeled, designed, and tested like crazy. Our systems have been certified by DMVGL, and we're just entering commercialization phase now. So our first market is for low power systems. Think sub-kilowatt scale, small form factor devices for powering autonomous marine sensors, for charging underwater drones, ROVs. There's hundreds of applications here in the defense, security, research, telecom, and industrial uses. And just as the terrestrial Internet of Things is taking off, so will the Internet of Ocean Things. However, without what we do, the ocean is a power desert. So this first market is driven by cost of ownership rather than a cost of energy. Sending that big ship out every time the battery dies on that buoy is a really expensive thing to do. So this is a big opportunity for us. We're uniquely positioned to take advantage of it. We built our first prototype for DARPA in a project 2 years ago. We just won a DOE grant to build, design, build, and test our first commercial pilot unit. So our bigger market, worth $750 billion estimated over the next 2 decades, is for utility scale systems. Think grid-connected offshore wave farms. Our first pilot unit is being built this year. We'll take it to the Navy's grid-connected test facility in Hawaii at the end of this year for testing. So quickly, we use the same type of generator you see in an offshore wind turbine. In fact, that's unique to us in the wave power business. But in order to be successful with that, we had to solve a fundamental issue. Now, that innovation that works for us and makes our device successful is also has applicability on the wind side. This is not part of our core focus here, but we will take advantage and try to leverage this opportunity for our investors and for our shareholders. So I'm here today because we're raising an $8 to $10 million Series C. It unlocks a significant amount of federal funding for us. It helps us do everything that I just talked about before. So I'd love to chat with you about that. I got a couple seconds left here, so I thought I would just show you real quick. This is the unit that we did for DARPA, a 100-watt unit. This is the device that we'll be taking to Hawaii later this year. And so with that, thanks for the opportunity to present. It's my contact information. Would love to talk to you at the next section. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ken Lopreet. I'm the head of product development and scale-up at Compact Membrane Systems, located in Newport, Delaware, here with a disruptive material solution in process energy. So the oil industry generates an important feedstock for the global production of consumer goods called olefins. And typically when these olefins are produced, a very similar material called paraffins comes along for the ride. Now, it is important that these two materials be separated before further use downstream. However, the separation of these two materials is incredibly energy intensive and is commonly referred to as one of the most difficult chemical separations to perform. But distillation, the legacy infrastructure that's currently used to separate these valuable streams, is only really efficient at scale, which means that it is missing out on the numerous revenue opportunities at a small scale, such as recovering lost products from purge streams or flare lines, or having the lack of inability to increase current capacity. So let's face it, distillation is over 100 years old. Now is the time for disruption. So our solution for the lack of flexibility from this legacy infrastructure is with a bolt-on and energy-efficient membrane technology to the existing process. So our membrane technology has the potential to unlock new sources of revenue, more than $5 billion, as well as waste less and burn less in the process. And this is widely applicable. So here are two examples that utilize our technology. First, we can install our technology in a refinery to expand distillation capacity, which cannot be done economically at this stage. Second, we can install into a petrochemical plant where we can take purge gas waste from polyolefin reactors, which would typically get burned off to the flare line. We can then convert that back to a usable product. So let's talk numbers for a bit. Thanks to our engineers at CMS, we were able to simulate the economic benefit of our membrane technology, and things look really good. The two examples I was just talking about generate high value, which means it'll provide high internal rates of return and a swift payback period thanks to these low capital investments. And this isn't just a science project that's taken place in our lab. We actually have designed, developed, and deployed a running pilot system that is currently running on real refinery streams at a local refinery in Delaware. And the performance of that system is way better than expected. So this is the first membrane of its kind that has seen real process streams and is held up for extended periods of time. And the performance that we're seeing also matches very closely to what we were measuring in our lab, which further supports our economic evaluations. And the secret sauce to our membrane technology is within our patented facilitated transport membrane, utilizing silver and fluoropolymers. And come grab me afterwards if you want to learn more about it. None of this would be possible without our amazing team at CMS with numerous years of experience in business, tech, and industry. So today we're looking for additional customers and pilot opportunities to demo our technology. We're looking for specific partnerships to help fast track to industrial adoption, as well as any new connections with certain entities with successful history in commercializing new processes in the industry. Thank you very much for your time.
Hi, my name is Mark Kovsak. I'm a mathematician and the founder and CEO of Conservation Labs. Water leaks and unwanted water use cost Americans over $70 billion every year. On a global basis, that same unwanted water use causes over 0.5 gigaton in carbon emissions. And let's make this personal. Every one of us is susceptible to water damage. In fact, you have a 100% chance of a catastrophic leak in your lifetime, a leak that causes an average of $10,000 in damages. 15 to 20% of your water bill and everyone's water bill and every water system, month in and month out, is associated with unwanted water use and water leaks. So whether it is a home, a mid-rise apartment building, a restaurant, or any water system, people are concerned about these leaks, the damage they cause, the cost of water, and the impact to the environment. There are a number of solutions in the market today to address these challenges. However, these solutions cost over $500, require a plumber to install, or require that you place a device at every water location in a home or property. We saw a better way, and we cracked the code with our first product, H2No. We invented a way to make a $1 sensor understand water flow with machine learning. So every time in a home, for example, that you wash the clothes, take a shower, or use any water in the home, water rushes to that location and creates a unique sound signature. You can hear it, and H2No can too. And using our proprietary technology and machine learning approach, using our proprietary machine learning approach, translate those sound signatures to accurate water flow insights, water flow estimates, insights, and custom conservation recommendations. It is a few minutes to install. It attaches over a pipe as it enters a property, does not require a plumber, and for about $100, we can protect an entire home, restaurant, or similar sized property. The timing with this is so important. Water is becoming more scarce. Governments are mandating water reductions. There are trillions of dollars of infrastructure repair and replacement that has to happen to our water systems. It's already causing water rates to increase, and they will continue to do so. Today, we are manufacturing our beta units in the US and China. Our go-to-market strategy is focused on paid, scaled pilots with partners in insurance, plumbing, smart property, smart technology, and the like. We launched our paid pilots in January. We currently have 10 such pilots that have started or completing. Each of those have a minimum order size of 2,000 unit potential. We will do 2 to 4 pilots a month. The current pipeline has about 500,000 sensors as an opportunity. We're pleased to report that we actually have a LOI for our first 50,000 unit order. Typical savings for a mid-rise apartment building with our solution is about $39,000. As you look at the entirety of commercial retail, or multifamily, it's $6 billion in opportunity and $12 billion when you look at all of commercial retail. There is a data fee associated with our solution at $30 a month and a cost for the hardware. Commercial is our beachhead market, but residential, industrial, ag, and municipal are not far behind. We have a 6-member team. Brian, who's here with me, is also a Carnegie Mellon alum. I've worked with Tom for the last 3 years on the hardware. Julie, Matthias, and Jody are longtime friends and have joined the team and are among the best at what they do. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Judy Green. I'm the co-founder of Differential Dynamics Corporation. We are also known as DD Motion. We are the inventors of a brand new control for controlling the harvesting of renewable energy. And why did we decide to focus our technology on renewable energy? Well, the usage of renewable energy grows every single year, and carbon polluters are dominating the fuel mix, and renewables to date are only providing 4% internationally, and we are a very long way from fossil fuel parity. So what are some of the barriers to the adoption of renewable energy? Well, the most important ones are wind and solar are both intermittent, and neither of them are scalable to very large sizes to be able to harvest the amount of energy that we need. There are many other barriers, as you can see. Traditional MHK is very expensive to build and intrusive. So we have a great opportunity for wind and MHK to incorporate our technology into what they're doing right now. So we can remove the failure-prone power electronics from the grid. We can control the natural power resources mechanically. We can regulate speed, not electrical power. Our technology uses gears, a well-understood technology. It is highly scalable because it is mechanical. It will lower operating cost, lower levelized cost of energy, and our development has been a long process. It started in the beginning of the 90s when our inventor invented the core technology. In 2015, we decided to focus on marine technology and hydrokinetics. And in 2020, we have tested, 2018, we tested our turbine in the river in Canada, and we hope to be able to go to market by 2021. So why do we focus on river turbines? Well, rivers flow 24/7. They can provide baseload electricity. And also, there's plenty of people living on rivers, and there are rivers all over the world. And our technology is particularly effective in non-electrified remote communities built adjacent to rivers. It can operate as a microgrid, or it can support a regional utility grid. So there are right now 992 million homes that are unelectrified, and 60% of those homes are in sub-Saharan Africa. Last year we had an order, or a verbal order, for 20,000 units over the next 3 years. Kihan is our inventor. He is here today. Our funding raised to date is $2 million. We're trying to raise $20 million over the next 5 years to complete our commercialization and to secure our staff and production facilities. In summary, we can broaden sustainable energy markets, increase access to renewable energy, reduce the levelized cost, and eliminate electrified homes throughout the world.
Hello, my name is Sasha, and I'm from ECOTONE. Like many people, I have this problem where I will not always eat all the food I buy. And to date, the main solution has been to truck away these remains to centralized facilities like landfills, but the centralization has way too many externalities. Businesses are participating in this process because of the poor recycling options and transportation constraints. And so we're offering a new solution to this problem. That solution is called the SEAHORSE system. It can fit conveniently in a 10 by 10 foot shipping container and can convert 12 tons of food waste per year into nutrient-rich fertilizer and act as a combined heat and power source. And so we're biologically recycling these residuals and turning them into a product that businesses can capitalize on. So the system works like this. Food and beverage residuals go into the system, and they come out in the form of nutrient-rich fertilizer and methane gas, which can be combusted into electricity. We're offering businesses the opportunity to have a high return on investment, energy security, and a high-value byproduct, while helping them avoid high hauling costs, odor and externality risks, and capital and time overruns. We analyzed our market and found that focusing in our region, we wanted to focus on businesses with rising utility costs, an excess amount of organic wastes, and a high political demand. That gives us greenhouses, wholesalers, and college campuses, and we anticipate hitting about 5% of that market within the next 5 years. On this chart, you can see on the bottom left, we're paying to waste these renewable resources, and on the top right, ECOTONE Renewables is deploying scale-appropriate systems, allowing businesses to capitalize. We offer the only anaerobic digestion system that can be easily shipped and deployed, designed to meet all permitting and policy standards in the United States and maximize on the usage and sale of all byproducts. And so our system can be leased for $1,200 a month or sold for $45,000, where production costs are $30,000. We offer servicing contracts in exchange for 70% of the fertilizer revenue, and the businesses can either sell the fertilizer back to us for 30% of the cost or keep it and use it on site. This means that we have a 1.5 year payback for a system, primarily coming from fertilizer sales, but we also subsidize utility costs and offer waste hauling benefits. And so we will aim to sell 40 SEAHORSE systems in the next 5 years. We also anticipate decreasing system costs by $750 a unit per 10 units until we reach about $10,000 to $15,000. State and federal policies are moving towards these goals, and currently 18 states already have anaerobic digestion regulations, and we are designed to meet all of these. We have an amazing team comprised of students at Carnegie Mellon and the University of Pittsburgh, as well as an advisory board, and 3 local partners in the food waste sector, as well as a corporate partner. Impact Bioenergy has given us a licensing arrangement where we can use their patented technology. We've already built Pittsburgh's first portable farming system and have been asked to install 6 more this summer. Our first SEAHORSE system is under construction and will be completed by May, and we've already designed our IoT dashboard and secured our first utility vehicle. We've raised over $100,000 within the past 1.5 years and want to move more towards the investment track. We are ECOTONE Renewables, we are closing the food loop, and we are creating a 21st century food system. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Steve Moritz, and I'm the founder and CEO at Incentive Energy. At Incentive Energy, our mission is simple but ambitious. Our goal is to be the platform that helps facilitate making every commercial building, office, and every home in the U.S. and beyond to have the latest energy efficiency and distributed energy equipment. So how do we do that? Fact is 10 years ago, McKinsey did a groundbreaking study that indicated that if every building and home in the United States had the latest energy efficiency equipment from 10 years ago, it would result in $1.2 trillion in energy savings. It seemed like there were no barriers that could stop that from happening, given the very high rate of return and getting that equipment out into the marketplace. But the reality was, the study found that over 70% of our buildings and homes did not have that equipment, and frankly had outdated equipment. And since that, in the last 10 years, there has been actually more and more homes that have fallen, homes and buildings that have fallen into this number. Reason being is that as new equipment has come out, as new technology comes out, even a lot of the technology that you see here today, how do we get those into the buildings and homes? So about 4 years ago, I partnered with the smartest CMU computer science grad that I could find, and who has done large data, SaaS-based projects in other industries. And we looked at the McKinsey study, and we looked at how is it we could bring all of this into today's marketplace. What we found was there were 3 key problems. Number one, there was a low mind share. People did not understand what technology was out there and how it could fit within their space. Number two, despite the fact that there were $10 billion of incentives available every year and over $50 billion of financing available, it was not being properly utilized. And third, and probably the most complex, is the path to market was very fragmented. The way all these products go to market through complex channels was a mess and lacked transparency, so people did not understand which products were right for their building. Given today's cloud-based technology, we saw that this was ripe for disruption. Using today's digital platforms, automating manual processes, and creating e-commerce marketplaces was the solution that we embarked on. And what we created was a platform called Incentivizer. We've populated it with literally millions of combinations of energy efficiency products. And we've set up a process where we can continue to add technology into that platform. We created solution engines. So depending on building type, we can populate it with current products and be able to build various solutions. And we make it accessible through mobile and other platforms. And the adoption has been nothing short of tremendous. Our customer base today is some of the largest companies in the space who are using our technology to help facilitate sales channels using our digital engagement platform. And our go-to-market strategy is ambitious as well. We see it being a $2.5 billion a year opportunity for our platform use, not just across lighting, HVAC, which is where we are today, but moving into solar, battery storage, and other technology. We are current revenue generating company. We've passed $1 million in ARR, and we see our long-term forecast to be very ambitious. Our goal is to raise $3 million in a Series A round. We already have a great network investor supporting us, and we look forward to speaking with you today.
Hi, I'm Kwaku Jemfi. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer of Farm to Flame Energy. So we have a problem. There's a Power Africa initiative. As we heard before, this number is actually a bit old, but we have around 1 billion people living without access to cheap and reliable electricity. We see frequent power outages in many African countries and high costs for diesel backups. My family goes through this right now. And there's initiatives by many NGOs to solve these problems using microgrids, and even with the government instituting new policies for microgrid creation. And so our solution is biomass waste to clean energy with a different technology model. So we have the only powdered biomass generator that's capable of using any feedstock. That includes a range from cocoa pod husk, bamboo, corn stover, rice husk. And the software is designed to withstand cyber attacks that actually affect even American generators today. So some of the current traction that we made, we have a pilot project that's planned in Nigeria right now. We just incorporated over there in January. It's an LTD. We have a beta unit that the engineering team and I have been creating since June 2018 till November 2018, and it's ready for manufacturing. All the manufacturers, we have letters of intent with them. We have a letter of intent with Kivu Green Energy, a utilities company in the DRC, and a letter of intent in Nigeria where we just incorporated for $1.2 million that's to be fulfilled this summer. And so you see our timeline down below. So some of our target markets actually are North American farms, microbreweries, and food processing plants, but we started to see that as the cost of electricity is subsidized here, a lot of opportunity to build our business and de-risk exists in Nigeria and West Africa. We also want to look at remote communities in Alaska and northern Canada who are paying high prices by the gallon for diesel, the Department of Defense who needs this abroad for different defense purposes, and then, as we said, the African target market. Our business model allows us to have a fuel that's 14 times cheaper than diesel fuel from this fuel cost standpoint, so the cost of our generator will allow the customers to break even within 3 years. And so these are just some of the current economics of what we can sell electricity at, about 18 cents per kilowatt when we institute a microgrid, as well as the cost from our fuel processing plant, which we will have centralized to increase the ease of the supply chain in Nigeria. And so just a little bit more about our supply chain. We harvest, we have raw biomass suppliers such as farms, woodlands, food processing plants who use husks for different purposes, especially chocolate actually. We coarse grind the material, we torrefy it by drying it, and then we micro grind it to about 104 microns, and we distribute it to our different customers. And so you can just see our financials, how we'll break even after the sale of 11 units, and this is our monthly fuel cost of about $3K. Our production expense is about $2K, and you can just see the increase in our 3-year cash flow up to around $15 million by 2021. So this is the team right here. The CEO in the top left is Will McKnight, Syracuse University. He has 5 years of experience with Cleantech startups, extensive research with experience in the combustion facility that is actually patented under the parent company, Summerhill Biomass. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer. I also went to Syracuse University in undergrad, and I have extensive biofuels and combustion research in the mechanical engineering, chemical engineering field, and now I'm a graduate student here. And we have our team who helped us incorporate in Nigeria and is as well our sales team right now. So that is Hakeem and Kazim Bello. They have many years of project and financial experience on Wall Street and with Real Scope Ltd. In Abuja, Nigeria. And our technical team, Daniel Akande in Nigeria, has more than 15 years of experience in designing and building, and he'll be helping us with distribution and after-sales service. This is the contact information, and this is our technology. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Jesse Thornburg with Gridfruit. We put energy data to work for food retail. using AI to keep food fresh with less energy. What's the problem? Over 200,000 fresh food markets operating in the US alone, but they're on razor-thin profit margins, around 1% to 2%. For supermarkets, that's an average of 1.3% profit. And they're kept very low because of constant competition from the e-commerce giants like Amazon and Walmart. And at the same time, as we talk to more and more customers, we find the way they are differentiating themselves is with fresh food. So they're relying more and more on refrigeration, while refrigeration is actually their largest operational cost. 50 to 60% of their electrical energy, and the Oak Ridge National Lab estimates that 20% of that is wasted. And this is because they're using legacy control systems, completely mechanical in most cases, and then they're doing certain control decisions like defrost cycles arbitrarily. For better understanding this problem, let's look at the layout of a commercial refrigeration system, because it's a little bit more complicated than the refrigerator in our homes. In the back room or on top of the building, you have the condenser system, and then over a mile of circuitous refrigerant lines that go to the cases that we as shoppers see in the front of the stores. And the supermarkets, discount stores, wholesale clubs are already collecting data on all these components. They have energy data on the compressors, they have maintenance work order history on different components, and they have temperature from the cases themselves. The problem is this data is currently kept separate. Most of it is never used for anything. And so they're still operating by these rules of thumb, so-called tried and true methods that are very inefficient. At Gridfruit, we take this data, it's multimodal, noisy, incomplete, so we need AI to process it. And through our proprietary machine learning algorithm, we take this data and turn it into insights for optimal temperature settings, immediate localized leak detection, and predictive maintenance measures. Now, we do have a number of customers because this is a huge market. Our bottoms-up estimate is $4.4 billion in the US alone annually. But the competitors are all hardware companies that are providing thermal batteries. So these are often the size of a shipping container. They cost tens of thousands of dollars to install, ship, maintain, and we're software-based. We use the data, most of it, as I mentioned, already collected, and we therefore have the low cost associated with software and also the flexibility to address more pain points and add more value. While we're here, I'll also talk about risk. There are a few companies that are already making the legacy control systems and sensors. They're hardware companies, but we're talking to them even at this stage with the plan of licensing in their units or getting acquired by them while they're still hardware companies before they venture into the software space. We've been honored to work with NSF Corp program, talk with a lot of customers, raise $215,000, and we've been operating a convenience store pilot since 2017 and just signed an NDA for a larger pilot with supermarket and convenience store chain. I'm honored to work with this great group of multidisciplinary engineers and business people. My own background before my PhD here was at MIT and leading a solar startup called Copo. My co-founder, Javad, is here out of the ECE department, Professor Shomokar advising us, and from the CS department, Fabricio Flores. So we're really passionate about this problem. Thank you to these partners, and we hope some of you will become our next partners. Thank you.
Hello. I am Bob Fields with HyberSense, and we've created a smart climate control system for building owners with forced air heating and cooling systems. As you can see along our journey, we've won many awards, and our journey is to solve a problem. And that problem is to solve this. You're hot in one room, your partner's cold. Whoa. I guess I'll tell you about the team first. HyberSense was formed 3 years ago out of the University of Pittsburgh by then 2 computer science seniors and the chair of computer science. Both Jacob and Daniel have their own unique story of building HyberSense. Jacob he froze in his apartment because he refused to pay a utility bill that was higher than his rent. And Jacob, Daniel, who's from Brazil and likes it warm, was always fighting with his daughter because she's born in Pittsburgh and likes it cool, and she was always opening her windows. They each bring some great real-world experience to HyperSense at some great companies, but their work bringing HyperSense to life is a great and ongoing achievement. And I can attest to that achievement because I bring more than 25 years' experience in B2B product and SaaS sales. I joined the team 2 years ago to bring the foundational business development and growth experience needed to the company, and today I'm even more excited about the HyperSense opportunity as we improve people's lives by making them more comfortable and saving them money and putting less greenhouse gases into the atmosphere because we're running existing HVAC systems more efficiently. This is not, I don't know what happened here, folks, I'm really sorry. Here's the problem, again, as I mentioned, you fight over the thermostat. Now, it's kind of crazy to have one thermostat controlling a whole HVAC system, but it happens in the residential market in more than 72 million buildings around the country. But let's face it, not everybody needs HyperSense or can afford it. But if we really drive down to the specific geographic regions with homeowners who can afford it and who are already adopting smart home technologies like crazy, there's over 6 million homes that we can be in. Now, we solve the problem by adding components for all 4 quadrants of the intelligence and control grid. It starts with our sensor that feeds our intelligent hub that helps us learn the thermal dynamics of the building. We give users an application so they can tell us how comfortable they are, and now our predictive analytics will allow us to control the HVAC system and open and close our battery-operated wireless vents so we can send the air where it needs to go. In 2016 and 2017, we attended 2 Alpha Lab Gear programs and installed 20 prototype programs. We used the first half of 2018 to finalize our contract manufacturing right here in Western Pennsylvania. So with our first contractor installations performed in 2018, we're currently focused on recruiting contractor, builders, and other partners who will represent our products across the country to homeowners. Last year, we achieved a $750,000 pre-seed round where we achieved all of our technical and IP-related milestones, and now we're focused on that contractor recruitment of our first 100. Moving forward, built off of the existing hardware that we're installing, we'll be able to offer features, functions, alerts, and dashboards to homeowners and contractors who'll be able to pay us additional subscription fees for those services. But first things first, we must build a good and profitable business. Our B2B conversations are moving forward fruitfully. We're proud to announce today that we're closing 2 agreements with stocking distributors that will expand our reach to the 6 New England states, as well as Ontario, Canada. So with that, we appreciate your support, and whether you're looking for a more comfortable home or your next great investment, we'd invite you to join us on our journey at HyperSense. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Hunaid Nalwala, and I'm the CEO of Liquid Ion Solution. It's a small startup which focuses on specialty chemical manufacturing. That being said, I'm mainly driven by my passion, and I'm always concerned about what are the challenges which are going to be faced in the 21st century. I see global warming and the impact of the weather change is going to be a major concern for our future generations. People talk a lot about energy, but CO2 comes from a lot of other sources. You have electricity is one portion, transportation, your food. I mean, if you're a beef eater, a lot of people will tell you that it produces a lot more CO2. So whatever we do contribute for CO2. And it has to be mitigated as the CO2 levels have doubled. So that being said, I think maybe I will live 50 more years or 60, but our kids are going to inherit this world, and we need to think about that. So back in 1960s, there was a technology which was based on amine-based CO2 capture, and basically this was 70% water and 30% amine mixed together, and the gas which had higher amount of CO2 was passed through, and it would react with CO2, and then you basically heat the other side and you're going to extract the CO2 out. It's a proven technology, was used, but it's expensive because a lot of the portion of this whole amine is water, which has very high thermal capacity. One of the other things one can think about is when you start to remove the water out of that amine-based technology, the viscosity starts to go up. And that ends up being a major problem because you cannot operate the plants because the viscosity is so high, you need larger equipment and more pumping power. Basically what me and my team have done, we have about 40 years of experience in gas separations, combined experience, is to come up with additives when they are added into these amine-based solvents without the addition of water. We are able to break the hydrogen bonding as well as the charged networks which are formed into these amine solutions into much, much smaller segments. And the net impact is that the viscosity does not increase as much. Okay, and what that ends up meaning is when you have lower viscosity increase, that means you have better heat transfer, you get better mass transfer, and you have better momentum transfer. And it ultimately means that you can start to miniaturize the size of your equipment, as well as the operating cost starts to go down for these amine-based solvents. So what we are looking for, we are not looking for any funding. We are looking for strategic partners. This project has been funded by National Energy Technology Labs to basically do a lab scale demonstration, which we are in the process of doing right now. And we are looking for strategic partners who would give us access to their problems and their needs so we can basically start to fine-tune these additives for their applications. With that, I really appreciate your time, and I hope to see you guys at the end.
All right. How's everybody doing? Still hanging out there? All right. I'm Alex Bajnov, CEO and founder of Lumen, and we make residential energy storage smart by managing in-house energy consumption. As everybody in this room knows, the traditional one-way centralized grid is giving way to the decentralized multi-way grid of the future. This transition is powered by increased adoption of distributed energy resources like solar and storage. However, this transition is not possible without knowing when, where, and how energy is consumed, and without the ability to act based on that knowledge and control that energy consumption at the most granular local level. Without having those capabilities, solar and storage cannot realize their full potential because they're not smart, they're not flexible, they cannot be adjusted to the homeowner's needs. So, for example, let's take storage. If you buy a home battery today, it cannot back up your entire house. You have to pre-select a handful of loads and place them into a protected loads panel. So typically 6 loads, and only those get power when the battery is on, while the rest of the house stays in the dark. That's where Lumen Energy Management Platform, when paired with any residential storage system, allows for dynamic whole home energy backup. It allows the homeowner to select which circuits get power at any given moment. And it makes the storage flexible and smart while also reducing the installation costs by removing the need of the protected loads panel. So you may ask, how do we do this? We bring the intelligence to the grid edge. We insert the smarts into the circuit breaker panel, the place where energy meets end consumer. Our platform is a combination of hardware and software, and it allows for granular per-circuit data collection and analysis and control with the same level of granularity. But the coolest piece is that the control that we have is powered by the data that we collect. So the algorithms that run the platform are based on that feedback loop. The hardware component of the platform is UL compliant. The whole platform is patented and available commercially today. We've built a world-class team that brings top-notch experience to the table in software development, big data, engineering, sales, and marketing. And with that team, we have built this platform that can be paired with any residential storage system. And we have just completed technical pre-certification with a major storage manufacturer that plans to roll out our platform as a standard solution for their storage systems. As you guys already know, I hope, by now, that we're focused on residential energy storage right now, and that's our application. After that, we will be using the same technology to serve dynamic energy rates markets, places where people pay time of use and demand charges. There are currently 6.5 million people in the US in those markets, and that number will go to 20 million over the next 2 years, and we can cut their bills in half. Right now, we're at this inflection point becoming the standard for energy storage installation when every storage system comes with Lumen Energy Management Platform. We're raising around $1.5 million to fuel our penetration into our core markets like California, Hawaii, and Puerto Rico, and continue the integration with energy storage manufacturers. Thank you for your attention. Please come find me after the presentations.
Hi, my name's Colin Heiler, and I'm CEO of Optimus Technologies. At Optimus, we design and manufacture fuel systems for diesel engines to operate on 100% biodiesel. The North American trucking market has roughly 10.8 million medium and heavy-duty diesel engines that are consuming roughly 40 billion gallons of diesel fuel annually. If you're a fleet operator, your primary concern is your operating costs. So short of drivers, fuel is your second largest expense. But if you're a global citizen, the climate emissions and impact from burning that much diesel fuel is of significant and emerging concern. Fleets today have adopted biodiesel. It's the #1 deployed alternative fuel in the market today. However, current engine technology limits the deployment of biodiesel to a low-level blend, anywhere between 5 and 20% mixed with traditional diesel. However, using biodiesel in its neat form reduces carbon emissions by roughly 80%, particulate matter, soot emissions by roughly 50%. Biodiesel is derived from renewable and sustainable agricultural and industrial byproducts, and at the end of the day, it costs less than a gallon of diesel fuel. Our technology removes that engine limitation that constrains the user from running low blends. 100% biodiesel can be deployed, but we never inhibit the engine from running traditional diesel or lower level blends of biodiesel. The technology cost is roughly $10,000, takes about $2,000 worth of labor time for installation, and we capture a $500 annual recurring subscription for our analytics platform. We have 3 patents that have been awarded, 2 additional that are pending. We've achieved EPA compliance on the technology, and through our commercialization partners, it's available as a retrofit onto an existing truck or as a new purchase option on new vehicle purchases. Talking about competitive landscape, we compare to things like compressed natural gas, LNG, and electrification. I'll talk about EV because it's the sexy topic of the day. It's great for things like roadsters and scooters, but as you can see here, there's a significant cost disparity as well as operational and logistical challenges when you're trying to electrify a vehicle such as a garbage truck or a Class 8 tractor. We were founded in 2010 and have deployed 63 systems through our commercial development with entities like the City of Pittsburgh and Frito-Lay. Last year, we launched our commercial platform in Q4 and deployed in projects with District of Columbia Public Works and City of Chicago. We've generated $1.3 million in lifetime revenue and are scaling up for full commercialization this year. We've got about 150 systems in the pipeline, so with some fallout, we expect we'll be very well on track to achieve our sales targets for both 19 as well as 2020. Fleets typically deploy in 5 to 10 unit sales, and then larger fleet deployment rolls out lagging roughly 12 to 18 months after they've validated the new technology. We're currently gearing up for a Series A round at the end of this year. Happy to talk to folks afterwards about that. Our team has been compiled of a wide variety of experts in the transportation, renewable fuels, and engineering fields, multiple folks that have exits under their belts. In conjunction with our commercialization launch of the final product last year, we established a partnership with Renewable Energy Group. They're the largest biodiesel producer in North America. We have a strategic joint sales and marketing partnership accessing all of their available and existing customer base on the roughly 500 million gallons of biodiesel that they produce annually. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Griffin Schultz, and I'm the CEO of Rapid Flow Technologies, and we're using AI to reimagine traffic control. I think this is a good presentation to follow the previous one. But everybody understands our problem. You've been stuck in this. This is traffic congestion. But you may not know the cost. It's a global problem, but in the US alone, it's over $300 billion just in urban traffic congestion, and about 40% of that is indirect costs, oftentimes related to emissions and safety. And this problem is only getting worse. By 2050, it's estimated that 2.5 billion more people are going to move to cities. So that's where we come in. We make dumb intersections smart. We have an AI system called Surtrac, which gets deployed at each intersection and reduces the causes of traffic congestion by 20 to 40%, which in turn reduces emissions and safety incidents. This allows cities to lower their costs, but also to be more competitive. They got to compete for that 2.5 billion people moving to cities, and if your roads are gridlocked, people aren't going to move there. Also, I'm going to show a path for cities to monetize their investment in their transportation infrastructure. So these are the results, as I said, 20 to 40% improvements in the factors that cause traffic congestion. But how does that relate to savings for a city? We started in Pittsburgh, and the first 9 intersections that we deployed returned $1.8 million in savings in time, fuel, and emissions for the city's travelers. And you can see the metric tons of CO2 that were reduced. That equates to taking 87 cars off the road. And as you extrapolate that across the whole city or larger cities like Chicago or New York City has 12,000 intersections. That's the opportunity to save $2.6 billion and take 120,000 cars off the road from an emissions perspective. So how does it work? We get a detection feed, often from a video detector. Our artificial intelligence creates an optimization plan. It then sends instructions to the traffic signal. And then it also communicates that plan to neighboring intersections so we can control the whole network and create good flows of traffic. It can also communicate that information to pedestrians with phones or even connected and autonomous vehicles. So vehicles can share their information with us, and then we can share information with them. Like if you go 17 miles per hour through the next 6 intersections, you can optimize your fuel consumption. We started in Pittsburgh, as I mentioned, but we're in 12 cities now, either deployed or in the process of deployment, and we've got a rich pipeline of additional opportunities in the US and abroad. Our current market is to sell perpetual licenses up front, so we get a lot of cash up front, but then we also sell ongoing support maintenance contracts, so it's a mix of recurring and upfront revenue. We've been cash flow positive from day one, haven't raised any money, did $1 million last year. We already have $1.4 million in commitments this year. And you can see the market opportunity, multi-billion dollars. But there's a bigger opportunity out there. Voluntary tolling at the intersection where we partner with the city. We get 20 to 40% improvement just by deploying Surtrac. If vehicles can share their trajectory with us, that blue line, we can get them an additional 25% to 40% improvement. Let's say we charge them 2 cents, we can give them 15 cents in value at the intersection. FedEx, UPS, Uber, and others should be dying for that. But if you don't pay, you still get benefit. The yellow line, you still get 1 to 15 to 20% improvement even if you're not paying, because Surtrac can better optimize with this information. So this is a $50 billion a year opportunity. So thank you for your time. We've been cash flow positive, but are looking for investment about $3 million to execute this long-term strategy. Thank you.
We're going to switch from fossil fuels to renewables. We're going to have to spend trillions and trillions of dollars on infrastructure development. I heard yesterday a lot of people say that energy storage would be a critical part of that development, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. We can store energy, lots of it. This is who we are, catchy name with a bold claim. We can not only store energy, but we can store solar and wind energy. I'm going to use this diagram to explain the principles of our patented system. First, we have a renewable energy source, a wind farm or a solar farm that generates renewable energy. It can be sent to the grid, but the excess can also be sent to an electrolyzer. An electrolyzer is a device that converts this power into hydrogen. Some forms of electrolyzers produce pressurized hydrogen. we can capture that pressurized hydrogen in our flooded underground chamber. As the gas enters the chamber, it pushes the water out of the bottom of the chamber through this relief valve D back to the lake. The valve D is a pressure relief valve. We can control the setting on that valve, the pressure, which in effect controls the pressure in the chamber, including the hydrogen pressure. We want to generate more energy, we simply release hydrogen from the chamber to a power plant. When this happens, the water flows back into the chamber, which allows us to restore the capability to pressurize the hydrogen. So who are our competitors? Well, at this scale, we really only have one competitor, and that's storing hydrogen in underground salt caverns. But we have a lot of advantages over that system. First of all, we don't need a salt deposit. Second, we can use existing drilling technologies to create these chambers anywhere we want. That's a big advantage. By pressurizing the chamber with constant pressure, we also eliminate the temperature effects associated with handling pressurized gas. This system is designed for an unlimited number of filling and unfilling cycles on a daily basis. Another advantage that we have is our simple is very simple in design. There are no moving parts, no chemical reactions. It has a 50-year plus life expectancy with very little maintenance associated with it. People that in the fuel cell world that we've talked to said if we can provide pure oxygen to a hydrogen-based fuel cell, we can improve the efficiency by as much as 25%. We can also store oxygen just as well as hydrogen. Our system is flexible and designed to be scalable. We can store kilograms of hydrogen all the way up to over 100 tons of hydrogen in one of our bigger chambers. That's enough to power the city of Pittsburgh. Hydrogen is applicable not only to the power generation sector, but it can also be useful as a fuel to the transportation sector. Our storage chamber can act as a storage hub for storing, providing hydrogen to multiple filling stations, or right on site if the hydrogen is produced on site. That's a pretty quick overview, but let me leave you with one final thought. Solar wind storage. No sun, no wind, no problem. We can do this. Come help us do it. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Elaw from Teratonics. So I'm talking about how to effectively collect ambient RF energy to power a very large number of IoT devices. Oh, okay. Sorry, can I walk around? Okay, so IoT is a very fast-growing field. Various predictions showing that billions of devices will get connected in the next few years, and this number can grow into trillions in the coming decade or so. So how to effectively power these devices has been a major challenge. The energy problem that we're dealing here is not that it uses a huge amount of power. It was how to maintenance-free deliver the energy to these little devices. Right. Traditional methods like a battery has a lot of limits, right? Once in a little while, you need to replace them. And when this number of devices become large, and this is not a feasible solution anymore. Right. So the good news on the other side is that this modern IoT devices use very little power, so sub-milliwatts to microwatts range. When we look around, do we already have this amount of energy around us? The answer is actually yes. So when we're sitting inside or going on the street in the park, we are surrounded by this RF energy coming from radio stations, TV, and cell phone, Wi-Fi, so on and so forth. All right. Study indicates that if we can collect portion of this energy, that actually they are enough to power all those little large number of IoT devices. Right. So that's exactly what we're trying to do here at Teratonics. So we provide a maintenance-free to power this very large number of IoT devices. Teratonics is a very deep technology-based company. The core technology here on the left here I'm showing is that we call it MSM diode, invented here at CMU in our lab. And has been protected by U.S. and international patents. There are potentially quite a few applications here. We focus on collecting RF energy, free energy around us to power those IoT devices. On the right side, there's a comparison that what our technology can do compared to existing or other competing approach. So with the high-speed diode, we can cover the entire band simultaneously, collecting all of them. right? While some of the existing technology on the bottom, where the orange color bar, they can collect only one frequency band, right? So in terms of energy harvesting, this actually give us a lot of advantage. Okay, so where we are, we have started from some of the prototype demonstration to some of the there's a little movie showing that we can hand this device walk around in the park and collect enough energy to power the LED. Of course, the most dramatic or up-to-date advance is that we can collect enough energy to power sensors, temperature, humidity, and pressure sensor, and then transmit this data back into the base, right? So completely without any battery, harvesting ambient energy. So initial targeting the business with the industrial IoT, and then we want to gradually evolve into a consumer base. So right now, the research is done by the funding from Energy Corporation, and then we look forward to raise more in the next 12 months. Okay, stop here.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
How many of you have heard of solar energy? Right? How many believe in the future of solar energy? Now, how many do you have a system installed on your house or your dwelling? A few, very good. There's a lot of obstacles that come into installing a system. I know this firsthand because I work for an integrator. I've been on thousands of sites to qualify mostly residential people. And what comes down to is under 5% of them would actually go through and install a system. So there's two kinds of energy I want to talk about today. Thermal energy, which is heat, and PV, which is electricity. We can say that we use these things every day on an hourly basis. So the future is 80 years from now, it's going to take up the lion's share of the global energy production. So how do we get to that future? By making things a lot simpler and by making plug and play possible, big box stores, and deleting other things that make it more difficult. So our approach was to actually design a system that was more like a Swiss Army knife that had a lot of utility and circumvented a lot of the perils. So we make our energy panels from recycled tires. Now this is our thermal model, which basically goes in an array that circulates and takes heat back to the end user. We also have another model that makes electricity only in a PV fashion. And our last one is our cogeneration model that makes PV and thermal in the same footprint. So we're also doing some testing with our partner Global Solar at Penn State to find out how efficiencies are increased in PV panels when heat is taken away from them. So basically we're trying to bring together utility and function and in a simplistic way that can be used by pretty much anyone. Our competition, mostly metal, glass, clunky, expensive, and fragile. So our advantages come in to a lot of different realms with cost and engineering. This is one of our tiles I parked our car on it, actually. So the durability factor, and also we have a great advantage of a never-ending pile of tires. So we're going to basically chew these up, and we're going to make the environment a little bit better in the process. So we also have a very, very versatile product. We have a shingle roof application, a metal roof, ground mount, horizontal application, RVs. This is an off-grid application, and most importantly, our system can pasteurize water for natural disasters. This kind of technology would be great for destinations like right now, like Puerto Rico, and also Haiti. So we have markets that are basically unlimited by people's imagination. Where do you want to use them? We've been working on this for 7 years now, and we're getting closer to commercialization and going through our last processes to gain certifications for tax credits and military and other applications. So we'd like to thank our sponsors and all of our partners for the last 7 years. And could you see this system working for you guys sometime in the future? Thank you so much.
So many of them were not exactly aware that it was only going to be 4 minutes. So we wanted to make sure, obviously, that they all knew well in advance, but it is hard to get everything together if you're used to making a 10-minute or an 8-minute to make it 4 minutes. So much appreciated to all of our teams. So a couple of things for you all to know first. So in a minute, I'm going to let the investors go first. And you all are you need to have turned in your votes as soon as you can, so make sure that you've filled out the forms for each of the teams. The investors, you will move into the room right next to us, and you will begin to sign up to meet with the companies that you want to meet with. So that is the first step. One thing for those of you who are the startup companies, obviously you will wait until 1:40 and then you'll move in. You should know the number of your table, and if you don't know the number of your table, there's a sheet outside that has that information. So for all of you that are investors, you guys can stand up and leave, and I'm going to have another couple of announcements. So if you're an investor that's pre-signed up and you're meeting with companies, please go start signing up for your slots now.